Hi, I'm Brett, and today with the croaky voice I've got some really good information to you on our project car. Now this is a car that's got some serious torque, and what we've found recently is the amount of power and torque that we've generated is now not capable of being held reliably to a level that the client's happy with the clutch that's in it, and we're going to a triple plate clutch. Now the original twin plate clutch has been in the car for some time, and it's a great opportunity to show you what these parts look like. And remember, make sure you stay to the end of the video where we talk about our new website, mrttuned.com.au, where you can get some great valuable information as well. So let's have a look at the clutch system and explain what a twin plate clutch looks like, and then we'll talk about what a triple plate clutch. Now, what you got to remember is a clutch works on a friction surface between the flywheel and the cover plate, and it's a mechanical device which is designed so when you put your foot on the clutch pedal, you can disengage the rotational speed of the engine from the gearbox. Of course, when you're in neutral, you take your foot off, the clutch assembly is spinning on the input shaft of the gearbox, but because it's in neutral, the car won't go anywhere. So when you put your foot on the clutch, it energizes a fork which moves this release bearing inside the bell housing. Now, depending on what type of clutch you've got in your car, some Subarus are a pull clutch, some are a push clutch, meaning this bearing in this situation would pull these fingers out and remove the clamping pressure on the clutch assembly, and then that allows the driven plate to spin within the clutch, which disengages the engine from the input shaft of the gearbox. So what you can see here, underneath here, is the flywheel, where it bolts up to the back of the crankshaft with these bolts. Uses the original factory positions on the back of the crankshaft, comes with new bolts, and this surface here is typically what you would see on a normal Subaru single plate clutch, but you wouldn't see these fingers, although on an STI it is a little bit similar in design, but we won't talk about that at the moment. So the twin plate clutch, which is the Exity, very good clutch, it's just a little bit heavily worn. To say what works when it goes together, this part here is the splined connection that drives through to the input shaft on the gearbox and this part is obviously connected to the crankshaft. So on a triple plate clutch, this goes in place here, and then because it's got two friction surfaces, you end up with an additional friction surface on that side and that side, which then gives you more surface area to drive through the mechanism. That goes down over the top. You end up with another friction surface in there with another drive mechanism there, and of course these need to be all lined up when the clutch assembly goes into place. Then you put this cover plate back on top, and then the clamping assembly goes down on top. So what happens then is when you bolt this down onto the flywheel pegs, this whole assembly then clamps it together like one ginormous sandwich. It's like having two pieces of bread with a couple of layers of meat in between, separated by some cheese. When you squash it all together, everything sticks together due to the frictional devices that are part of this. And because you've got a twin plate clutch, you've got the extra surface area, which just gives you more ability to put torque through the clutch without it slipping. So of course when this clamp goes down, these fingers in here, which are spring steel, push down on the clamp on the friction surfaces, and then it's all locked in place. And the only way to disengage it is then when you put your foot on the clutch, it puts tension on the fingers and the fingers come up and the clamping force is reduced. So that is a twin plate clutch. Now on a triple plate clutch, I've got to be a bit careful here because I want this is all nice and new. I'll show you the flywheel in the car in a minute, but if you can imagine a similar flywheel with posts, and what you have is the driven part, which is engaged with the input shaft of the flywheel, and that sits inside there. And it's a little bit difficult to just set in place like that. So you then have the first of the driven plates, because this is the friction surface on either side. Remember, the underside of that is connected on the face of the flywheel. Then you would have another friction surface, excuse my squeaky voice. Then you have another driven plate, because these posts are what are connected to the flywheel, and these remain spinning with the flywheel. And then you have another friction surface again. and that's why it's a triple plate clutch. Got to get that lined up, and that sits in like that. And then the final plate goes on over the top. And remembering these all would then be lined up on the posts in the back of the flywheel, and then the cover plate goes over the top and the whole lot clamps down together. So that is a triple plate clutch. So we'll quickly go over to the back of the engine and I'll show you what the flywheel looks like. So here is the flywheel, and this whole assembly here spins on the crankshaft. That's the bolts that connect the flywheel to the back of the engine, the crankshaft, which is spinning when the engine's running. And these sliding mechanisms here are where the stationary friction surfaces spin with the clutch assembly, as in the basket, and the bright metallic covered ones are the ones that are disengaged, and the whole assembly clamps over the top of that. So you can see this is the back of the engine of this particular build, and effectively that's how a twin plate or a triple plate clutch works. You've got to remember they are noisy when you got your foot on the clutch and they're disengaged. They tend to rattle a little bit, so depending on what you want to use for the road or track. But from a torque point of view, because they got multiple plates with more friction surface, they can take more torque, so they're less inclined to slip when you start approaching torque figures above 700, 800 Newton meters. So there you have it. You understand more about what a clutch works like. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to think about showing what a standard clutch looks like, but I'm sure you can search that on the internet. But make sure you check out our new website at mrttune.com.au, and of course, make a post on this thread and share this video. Make sure you subscribe. But for now, I'm Brett Middleton with a squeaky voice. Hopefully this video has helped you somewhere in the world. Bye for now.